Thank you so much. This is just a technical question. The slide with the it looked like paparazzi shot with the face, yeah. What was that one about?
I don't know. Often when I was asking the fortune tellers to give me specifics, they couldn't. They would just say something vague about, oh, you're going to be arrested. I'm not quite, great news again. I have so much to look forward to. So she had just said something about being arrested, and I think that was in the time of the Madoff extravaganza. So I was kind of interested in that idea. The plastic surgery? Well, I did a project about plastic surgery, which is actually also about death in a weird way. And I guess that's about just a loss of sense of self, that you just have, you don't see yourself clearly anymore. When I was doing this thing about plastic surgery, I was actually talking about my fear of mortality. Because that's what plastic surgery is. It's this denial of death. It's a denial of aging. And so I think that's something I was thinking about too, as I approach 50. Also great news.
So your talk reminds, the La Rochefoucauld line of, I would rather eat a live toad in the morning than or so it prepares me for any ill fate during the day. That if you eat this live toad in the morning, that nothing will be worse than the live toad. Therefore, everything will be just like,
Sounds
the worst
like an
thing
English
that could happen to you in the
breakfast.
afternoon. It's not as bad as the toad. And that was meant to prepare your mind to face these bad fates during the day. So is it too early to say, have you faced any bad things and then had a different mindset?
Have I ever faced any bad things?
Since the project, that you've had a different
I got Lyme
mindset?
disease this summer. That was great. And the fucking fortune tellers never told me anything about Lyme disease. Total bullshit. I kept my receipts, by the way. So that was fun.
Thank you for your talk. It was really wonderful.
Thank you.
Do you feel like all of these projects have opened up conversations and have made you more comfortable with the idea of your own mortality and eventual death?
What do you mean, death? Well, look, they've certainly opened up conversations. I mean, I feel very lucky. My father was an artist, and I remember when I was a kid, he'd ask me what I wanted to do, and I'd say, well, I want to be an artist, and then he wasn't so happy about that. But then he'd say, what kind of artist? And I said, well, I'd really like to do something that changes people's minds, because that's what I think art should do. And with Days of My Father, and when I was 6, especially with Days of My Father, I didn't set out to do it for other people, but it miraculously helped other people, some people. And for me, that's an extraordinary honor and a privilege. So I forgot what the question was. Shit, old age, see? Oh. Well, I'm not interested, I've never really been concerned with the death part. It's the getting there bit. I don't like the process of this sort of your body disassembling itself. That's really irritating. So that's what I sort of struggle with, I guess. You wake up and your fucking knee hurts and you've done nothing for no reason. It just hurts. It's just saying, fuck you, Phil. And then afterwards it's going to be fine. I do swear a lot, it's true. Sorry. If they're children, and there's a four-month-old.
I'm just wondering if the process of this project helped you to process your grief and your loss from your father at all.
You mean Days of My Father or the last one?
The last one.
Oh, yeah. Well, look, this is going to sound a bit Deepak Chopra-y, but if that's a verb. But there actually came a point when I suddenly felt much lighter, and I suddenly had this realization I didn't have to do it anymore, this work, and I was so happy on so many levels. Look, the sadness for my parents' death is always there, and every time if I talk about it at length, I will inevitably burst into tears. It always happens. But I guess and I'm always surprised by the fact that the sadness is always there. But I guess it becomes muscle memory in a way. You become accustomed to that sadness. It's not fresh and the way it was years ago. But the work certainly helped, for sure. the work always helps.
Hi, I was wondering about your process of discernment when deciding the fortune tellers that you visited. If you thought about their reputations, or if you had got any
Did I
recommendations.
look at their Yelp reviews?
I mean, I have heard of some people that take it very seriously, and I'm wondering if that's something that weighed in on your decision if you wanted to try and get some sort of accurate reading.
Well, I saw a lot of people, so I just tried to. I just kind of tried to see people who other people recommended to me. Because, how do you research the future, right? So I tried to get the best sort of practitioners of that. Well, I didn't hear about the Lyme disease. Well, it was interesting because they would start talking about other stuff. I said, no, just tell me about the miserable stuff that's going to happen to me. It's hard to say if it's useful or not because none of that stuff's happened yet. I guess if I feel like I'm going to be arrested, then I'll remember taking this picture and I'll say, okay, I'll stop what I'm doing, whatever it is that is.
I was wondering if there's a prediction that you did not choose to realize and why, and then the other part of the question is, how do you think you are going to go?
How do I think I'm going to go?
Yeah.
Well,
But was there a prediction that you chose not to?
I'm so tempted to make a sex joke. Well, there were some predictions where they saw me in offices, which actually I should have shown. And to me, that's the most frightening of all predictions, because if I'm in a cubicle, then that means I've failed as an artist, and that would be terrifying for me. But they weren't predicting how I'd die. They were just predicting how my life might go. So, but the office ones are the scariest for me, because I used to work in an office for years. I was terrible at it, as you can probably guess.
I have a question about your sister's things. After you photographed them, did you keep them? And,
Oh, yeah.
And where do they reside? How do you keep them?
In a box where I found them. It took me so long, a year or two, to have the strength to open that box. I saw it when I was packing up my dad's stuff, and I couldn't see it again for a while. It was all very neatly arranged. My mother was psychotically organized. She must have been Swiss or something in a previous life. So everything was in these folders and files and named and written down. So it was like a little museum. And part of me wonders if my mum knew that I would find it. So I've kept it as she kept it.
Thank you so much for sharing your work with us today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm curious about two things. First, do you ever work in video and
I do.
how that plays out? Okay, and then my follow-on question, I do want to hear more about the video piece, but my follow-on question would be curious about other types of subjects that you deal with and if they always are these large topics.
Well, sadly, I deal with really, really obvious stuff. I don't think I'm very clever at all. I just talk about what's in front of me most of the time. I've talked, a lot of the stuff there's a lot of things. Phone sex, plastic surgery, bankruptcy. The video thing, I just finished a video project, actually. Do you want to hear what it is? You have to pretend to be enthused if you think it's shit. So it's called The Hand of God, which is a super pompous title, but I'm super pompous because I'm English. And the premise is this, that in the art world, you're nobody until somebody who's somebody says that you're somebody, right? This is the hand of God. Like Larry Gagosian reaches down and touches your shoulder, unless it's Weinstein, he touches something else. And then zing! And then you become, I'm not Phil Toledano small caps, I'm Phil Toledano large caps, right? So it occurred to me that no one super famous has ever said that I'm really good, and I take umbrage with that. I find that outrageous. So I thought, this is bullshit. I'm going to take matters into my own hands. So I made a list of the sort of most incredible people, like Cindy Sherman, Richard Prince, Chuck Close, Gagosian, all these kind of people. And then I found people with the same names as them. And I go and interview them on video, and I have them talk about how great they think I am. But I tell them nothing about me. So Cindy Sherman is a shrink in New Jersey, and she just talks about how she thinks I need professional help. So that's the video thing I've finished. Yeah. But I like not doing just pictures, because ideas are like living things, and if you listen to them, they will tell you what they want to be when they grow up, so they don't have to be photographs always.
How do you think starting photography or getting more into photography in your 30s has affected your work? And I ask that because it's sort of like a very inspiring, like sort of like growth mindset. So did you encounter any like imposter syndrome from like maybe people who have been doing it for many more years? And
Did I encounter any what?
like imposter syndrome? Or
Imposter syndrome?
Yeah.
What is that? I don't know what that is.
It's when you sort of have like a fear of like not like doing work that you're qualified to do or you can do, but you're sort of like.
Oh, did I think
maybe
I was
I'm not-
faking it?
Yeah, do you feel like maybe you're faking it? For a while, at least.
Well, first of all, to answer the first part of that, I took black and white pictures of buildings from like age 12 to 32, and they were really fucking boring. I mean, they were lovely photographs, but they were not very interesting. And I never went to art school, so advertising was like art school for me, and it taught me how to be brutal with ideas and how to be brutal with my own ideas. And I realized that I really wanted to work with ideas. I didn't want to be one of those photographers who walks around and takes pictures of dead pigeons, whatever those people are. No, I didn't have imposter syndrome, because I think part of being an artist is you have to be totally delusional. You have to believe that you have this thing that no one else has, even if you don't, because that's the only way you can function. It's the lubrication that makes creativity possible. That's a disgusting analogy. So, was that an answer at all? Kind of.